In today's episode of Today in World War II, March 1st, Hitler issues the formal directive to invade Denmark and Norway. Wonder how this neutrality is going to protect him from this invasion. Germany enters Romania. United States and the Aussie Air Forces sink a huge Japanese troop convoy off of New Guinea. A U.S. fighter pilot sacrifices himself to save an English village, and the Allied troops capture more and more cities inside Holland and Germany proper. Let's get started. Okay, on March 1st, 1940, Adolf Hitler issues the formal directive to invade Norway and Denmark. In German, it's called Verseübung. And this has been building for a while. Ever since he felt that his interest in northern Sweden with the iron ore and Narvik, the most northern port of warm water port in Norway, from which all the iron ore was shipped through Norwegian territorial waters. So much for neutrality, right, Norway? Can't help Finland, but you're going to let the Germans, ship their iron ore all the way through your territorial waters. Don't get me started on the hypocrisy of the neutrality of these countries. But anyway, uh, you know, uh, Britain, Churchill, the first Lord of the Admiralty, the Sea Admiralty, he was very aggressive, and he started to mine the territorial waters of Norway in attempts to interdict the shipping of uh, those ships carrying the iron ore, which he desperately needed for steel for all of his war-making factories and industries. So this was going to come to a head sooner or later. And so, obviously, if we've documented in my previous videos, he was also worried that Churchill was going to use aid to Finland as a pretext for taking Narvik and taking the iron ore mines in Sweden, which actually Churchill was openly talking about that. So he was actually right on that. One of the first times that Hitler was right about something. So it was all coming to an head. And we're going to see next few days Blitzkrieg that we already saw in Poland is going to happen in Denmark and Norway. And again, if you allow me to make a snarky comment here, we'll see how the neutrality declaration that these countries were so stubborn and so proud to put up their papers saying we're neutral, we're neutral. We'll see how that went for them. Okay, you can't be neutral at all here. Okay, you can't say I'm neutral. You have to pick a side, right? You have to say I'm going to subscribe to this man's channel or I'm not. Now, I hope that you'll understand that you don't want to be on the algorithm side. You want to be on our side. We're the good guys. I'm the good guy. So to be a good guy, just subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button. Click on the bell. YouTube will notify you whenever I drop a new video. And every subscriber I get, it increases my reach to other people. So my content will be seen by more and more people, and my content in my channel can grow. Thanks. On March 1st, 1941, German troops entered Romania. This is part of Hitler's Balkan campaign. He was trying to do this with the carrot, and he's having the stick, of course, is always the threat of invasion. But he wanted all the Balkan countries, Yugoslavia, Romania, Bulgaria, those three especially, he wanted them to come into his tripartite uh, alliance against the Soviet Union. Here we are in 1941. It's March 1st. Let's see, April, May, June. In a little over 3.5 months, he's going to invade the Soviet Union. He wanted to shore up his southern flank, and B, he wanted those countries also to help him with troops because it was going to be a gargantuan task to take out the Soviet Union. So as we see, he was pretty much successful in strong arming Romania and Bulgaria to come in. He was not successful in Yugoslavia, as we're going to see in the coming days. It's going to get bloody in Yugoslavia. So, but anyway, this was, a prelude. We're moving towards the end game, which is the invasion of the Soviet Union. The end game for every video here should be hitting the thumbs up, the like button below the screen, and to leave a comment because that by far is the most effective way for you to be able to help me with the algorithm. So that way I can grow my channel in the most efficient way possible. And I really appreciate your support. On March 1st, 1943, we're going to move our attention over to the South Pacific to New Guinea. The Japanese are, trying to shore up their position on New Guinea. The dreams of even just a year ago of conquering all of New Guinea, Port Moresby in the southern part, maybe even Darwin, Australia, they've all just dissipated, gone. And right now, they're just trying to hold on to their positions. And so the biggest things they want to hold on to Leh, which is a very important city there, airfield, a little bit of infrastructure. So they sent 6,900 troops to Leh. But as we saw in the Solomon Islands, as we saw especially in the Guadalcanal campaign, the slow-moving Japanese transport ships were no match for the Allied air forces. And in this case, you had the Royal Australian Air Force, the Kangaroo Air Force, and the American Army Air Force. They came in and ripped that convoy apart. At the end of the day, the Japanese lost 8 transport ships. Most of the troops died, and they also lost 4 destroyers. So it was almost a clean sweep for the Allies there. And as I mentioned in a previous video, the most effective way to kill the enemy is to get them on the ships when they go down and become submarines because they're all in one concentrated place. They, except for the anti-aircraft guns, they're not shooting back at you. The troops aren't. They're in the hold praying that they're not going to get sunk. And so you can wipe out a division pretty quickly if you just sink a lot or most of their transports. And that's what they happen. It's happened here. So it was much easier and effective way to save your troops from having to fight in the jungles and take casualties if you can get them on the ocean. And that's what happened here. On March 1st, 1944, an American fighter ace, a P-51 fighter pilot, committed a very selfless act that unfortunately cost him his life. He had 8 victories. He was already an ace. And during takeoff from his base there in England in Essex, his engine failed. Now he was high enough to where he could have bailed out, but he was worried that if he bailed out, his plane would crash into the village and kill civilians. So he stayed in the cockpit as long as he could, and he was trying to get it, glide until he reached open ground, and then he could parachute. Well, it was by the time he cleared the village, it was too late. He was too low. He couldn't parachute, so he tried to crash land it, but he wasn't successful. He had a lot of fuel because he was just taking off. Fuel exploded, ignited, and his body was found by the local villagers. But so he sacrificed his life so that the villagers would not have a flaming, fighter plane crash into their village and kill them. And finally on March 1st, 1945, we're in the end game now in Germany. And remember, we still had to clear out a lot of Holland. I mean, Holland was never completely reconquered, liberated until the end of the war. But what was most important was clearing out the Scheldt estuary to make sure that getting all the supplies could get into Antwerp because you had to go through a river and an estuary there, and the Germans had all of that area manned with soldiers and artillery and so on and so forth. So on this day, the U.S. Ninth Army, they captured München-Gladbach and Wright in Germany, and the British and the Canadians, they captured Roermond and Venlo in the Netherlands. So right now, like I said, we're getting to March here, 1945. The end game is fast approaching. We have less than 2 months left in the European theater. So thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow.